Yep. Okay. Outside.
So today we are going to discuss about methods, how to write methods and how to write in different ways the methods. So method is nothing but actually the code block we execute as one unit. So methods, they return a value and we pass actually parameters to the code block, which is nothing but a method. From external source to method you send data. From external world to method you send data with the help of parameters. One method may be sending data to another method in the form of say parameters or arguments. Main method may be sending some data to other method with the help of the parameters. So method is nothing but code blocks or code chunks. Okay, so different tasks we divide into different methods and one method can be sending data to another method with the help of the parameters. Normally a method is written like this. It's going to be, we use a public keyword or it can be private or we can have here a default. So we don't write anything, automatically takes default. It can be default value. Okay, followed by here. So we don't write anything explicitly in the case of default, but public and private, if you want to write, you can write. Then followed by here, the method name, so return type. Then we have here method name, then list of arguments. We have here list of arguments separated with commas. When you have more than one argument. Whenever you are having more than one argument, you are going to separate them with a comma. Sometimes you may not have any arguments. Sometimes you may have arguments. So type is going to be any valid type. It may be user defined type or it may be existing type or else it can be even void. Void is nothing but here when it's not returning any value, that can be called as void. Okay, so return type can be void or it can be valid type of data. Either it is predefined one or user defined. Like this normally we define the methods. And whenever you pass arguments here, so here you can pass arguments or you can call a method, call methods by values of parameters. Call methods here, call methods by passing the references of parameters. So first one is here call methods by passing values of parameters. Passing values of parameters. Okay, we can pass values of the parameters or we can pass their references. Okay, just like in the C we have call by value, call by reference in the same methods by passing call methods by passing the out parameters, parameters as out parameters. Okay, so in three different ways you can be passing your parameters. Further, when you declare a method, the parameter may have a default value. Parameters can be having default value. You can have a default value whenever you pass a parameter. That means when you don't pass whenever you are calling method, if you don't specify the parameter, automatically default value will be taken. Okay, so one other thing is parametric array. That means you can pass variable number of arguments. Next thing is here what? Methods with default values. Methods with arguments with default values. There can be default values for the arguments of the given methods. Methods with arguments with default values. The next thing is here methods which can accept variable number of arguments. Variable number of arguments Okay, so in this many ways you can create methods. In the first case, we pass the parameters to methods as values. In the second case, we pass parameters as references. In the third case, the parameters are marked as out parameters. In the fourth case, we define a method, so the few arguments of the method can have default values. Similarly, we can declare a method which can accept variable number of arguments. We are going to look into these 5 different ways of making actually methods. We can pass here, values as parameters can be like values or they can be like references. The parameters can be out parameters and they can have default values. One more thing, they can accept variable number of arguments. Okay, so whenever you pass actually the default values for parameters, that must be the last argument. Whatever argument is having default value, it must be the last argument in the list of arguments. So like this you can actually make. Now let me show you how to write these. Here this is the new project. I make this as method handling. I write the name as method handling here. Let us make this application. So as usual, this is the main method, but now let me create here certain methods. First of all, I create method which can be called by passing arguments with values. So here what I do, I define a method which should be swapping. So it should interchange the values. Let me write here static followed by void interchange. I write interchange. Method name is going to be interchange. Okay, so followed by here I define here int a, then int b. When I define methods like this, a and b are called as formal parameters. They are not actual parameters, they are just formal parameters. In the runtime, we can replace with whatever you want to replace. Here write int c. Here int c I declared. Now here I put c equal to a, then here a equal to here b, then b equal to, try to write this as here c, then I try to print it. Here inside this I try to print console dot write line. After interchanging, the values of a and b are Take like this here 0 and other thing is here 1. We put like this. So here we write A and next thing is here B, we put like this. Okay, we are trying to interchange. In the main method, I declare here some random object. Random object R&D. This is here new random. Here I pick some numbers. Some A equal to, I write here int x comma y I define here. X equal to object R&D, then dot next. I pick here a number up to 100, some number I am going to pick in this. Y equal to, put like object R&D, then dot next, again I give 100. Okay, so here I copy same thing. What are the values? Let us see here. Instead of writing x, y, I put here this also as A and B. And here in the place of x, I have A. Then here in the place of y, we should have here B. Let us have values like that. Now here, let me print it. So before interchanging, before I interchange anything, I write like this. Before interchanging, the values of A and B are 0 and 1. Now here, let us call the interchange here. Let us call interchange. Then write here A comma B. Okay, after that again, let us try to write. Take this and here try to put it. After interchanging the values, after coming, so here write after coming out from interchange method. Put like this. So when we run, what it does, let us see here. Console dot put like read key. We can take console dot read key. With that, let us try to end here. So now what happens here? We read a number up to 100, A and B. So here we print before interchanging what value it is. A and B, you have certain values. When you interchange, they should be getting changed. Okay, with this method we are printing it. But once we come out from method, the impact should be in the A and B, whether we have impact or not here see. Why we have written this method? To change the values of A and B, to interchange. That means whatever value we have in the A, it should go into B, and whatever we had in the B, it should come into A. That way we have written. But here, whenever you call with interchange, whether all the changing inside that, they may be getting changed, we get. But once you come out from the method, all the values of A and B, are they changing or not? Let us see. They say like this. Before interchanging, the values of A and B are 40, 67. But here, next thing, after interchanging, the values of A and B are 67 and 40. Internally, it's getting changed. But once you come out from that method, again they remain 40, 67. So reason is, we are passing the arguments by value, not by reference. So in the case of value, what happens? Whatever value we have in the variable, it will be copied into a temporary variable in the method. So this method is going to have here two temporary variables. Both of them are integer type. So both of them are going to be integer type. When we call this method, original A and B, they are not passed here. Their values simply are sent here. The value from A is copied and the value from B is copied. Their copies are sent to this. So internally what is happening? On the copied data only we are actually working. So therefore in the original variables there is no impact. Whenever you call by here reference, whenever you are calling the method by value, there is no change in that. Here it is calling by value, not calling by reference. We are not giving the address of the variables, but just we are giving here the value of the variables. So due to that, what happens, the value is copied into here into the stack area. Only value is copied. So original variable addresses, they are not given here. Its value is copied into another variable here, into temporary variables. Those variables are available as long as the interchange method is working. But once you come out from interchange method, those variables, they disappear. This concept is called as here call by value. We can say this as call by value. So here we are calling a method by passing the here value. So when you pass value, what happens? The value is copied into this method. Just value is copied into this method, and here on the data only we are working. So once the method is completed, we come back to original program, to the main program. So here what happens? The A and B value will not be changed here. They are going to be intact. This is called as here call by value. We can say this as a call by value, and we are passing here values. Now let me write one more method. What will happen with that? Let us see. I copy this here, then I pass the parameters this way. Int ref int a I put. Similarly, here I write ref int b. I put like this. So here in this case, in this example here, I am passing them by reference. I am passing them by reference. Now suppose if I change here ref, and here also if I change ref, what happens? Let us see. I am passing here by reference. Now when we execute, this time they should be getting interchanged. So initially what values we had for A and B? It is 17, 0. Okay, when internally when we are calling that method, 0 and 17 they are getting interchanged there. So at the end it's returning 0 and 17. So like this, when you pass with reference, what happens? The values are getting changed. They are getting actually interchanged in the case of reference. And this concept is called as here overloading. This is the method overloading. You look at the methods, method names are same, but arguments are different in this. You see here, in the first case interchange int a int b we have, but in this here interchange ref int a ref int b we have. So here the parameters types are changing, therefore this is called as here overloading. This concept is called as here overloading. Either interchange method you can call, or interchange with reference also you can call. Now let us remove here ref a ref b. What happens? See here, you remove the ref b in this. So what will happen now? Just try to execute. So this time they are not going to be changing. 36 and 19 are common, but within the method they are getting changed to 19 and 36. That is okay working. So once you come out from that method, the original variables are intact like that. That means when you pass by value, there is no change, but when you pass by reference, you have a change in that. Now therefore here what I do, I put ref here. Using ref keyword, I can pass. Similarly here also, I put a ref keyword. Now what will happen? See in this. When you execute here, now it is changing. 15 and 21 you had, within the method anyhow they are changing, but when you come outside from the method, it's now 21 and 15. So like here, like this, here they are being called by references. The method we are calling by passing the arguments as references. Here we are calling references, so when you call them with references, here the variables address are going to be involved. So their addresses you are going to be having. Therefore, the original variable's value will be changing in the case of references. Here we are just passing the values, but here we are passing the references. So this is the difference between passing a value and passing a reference. An argument you are passing by value, and here we are passing by reference. And this concept is here overloading concept. Same method name, but different types of arguments we have here. So this concept is called as overloading. We have overloaded the function here. Interchange function or interchange method has been overloaded in this. Okay, so this is what by reference. And third type of thing is what here? You can pass using out parameter. At times what happens? You have to return more than one value. How do we return more than one value? Using out parameter, you can be returning more than one value. I write here one example for that. Static followed by void here. So perform I write it as AO. AO stands for arithmetic operation. I pass here the two parameters, int A, then int B. I can pass here, then followed by here I put like out parameter int sum. Okay, then out here int diff I put difference it is. Similarly out int product. Okay, so PROD I just put, otherwise I just put only pro because we are using only 3. Similarly out, then this is here double QUO I put, or some other names you can use in that. Okay, one more is here out followed by int rem. Like this I can make here list of parameters. So these are going to be out parameters. Okay, so here let us try to write sum equal to, you should write it as a plus b. Similarly, we write here diff equal to a minus b. Now in the same way, PRO equal to, you write this as a multiplied with b. Similarly, we go with the QUO, this is here 1.0 multiplied with a, then followed by you put here b. Like this we define. Then other one is rem equal to, we write this as a percent b. So this way we are trying to perform these arithmetic operations. All arithmetic operations, all the results we are getting. So with the help of out parameter we can use them. Okay, so you can be getting all the results. That means more than one value you can be sending to the outside program. Now let us try to write the code for it. Here we put int x is some 50, then here y equal to some 7, let us put. Like this I take it. Now similarly here I take int s comma d comma, then I go with the s equal to 0 I put here, then similarly d equal to I put 0, then q equal to 0 I put quotient it is, so not q, p I put here, p equal to 0, then r equal to 0 I put like this. Now double I use double, then d equal to double, double, then d equal to it is 0.0 I assign like this. Okay, so this way I have defined it, double d equal to 0.0 I am assigning like this. Oh, d already we have here. So double, this is q equal to 0 I can put like this. I am assigning here the values. Now that method I can call. So whatever method just now I did, I can be calling here. So now let us call that. Perform AO followed by x comma y I take, then followed by here I put like out s. Similarly out d. Then I put here out p. After that I write out, then this is here q, then one more is here out followed by r. Like this I can invoke. So as out parameters I am going to be invoking them. Now here let us print console dot write line. Here arithmetic operations on 0 and 1, 1 is nothing, 1, give us like this, we put 2, then this is 3 here, then 4, it is 5, then it is here 6, like this, 5 and 6. Let us put this way. Now let me write here x comma y followed by, I need to have their s, sum this is, then difference followed by here, next thing is some product, then quotient, and next one here it is r. So I should have total, how many? 7 arguments are required. We have there 7 arguments totally. Now try to run this. So what result we get? See in this now. We should get the result as here 57, then 43 we should get, 350 we have to get. Similarly, when you try to divide 50 with 7, 7 sevens are 49, 7.14 something like that you should get it. 7.14 something like that we have to get in this. Okay, then after that when you divide 50 with 7, the remainder is 1. So therefore here 57, then 43, then 350 we should get, and here it is 7.14 something like that you need to get. Okay, in the case of the quotient that is, and whenever it is remainder it should be 1. Let us run the application. What it says here, arithmetic operation on 50 and 7 give us 57 and 43, 350, then 7.14 it's giving us, and apart from that it's giving you 1. So like this it's performing arithmetic operation and returning actually the values into these variables. So this is called as here out parameter. But there are certain things we need to follow. Whatever out parameters you pass here, you need to initialize in the code. In the code you need to initialize. Similarly, here whatever out parameters you are passing, they should be existing one. That means simply, here you need to pass variables. We cannot just pass actually numbers. If you try to pass numbers, they can't work. In this place, if you try to pass numbers, they can't work. So these two can be normal numbers, but as far as these are concerned, they should be existing variables. Because ultimately what they do, they save the value. Where they save, if you don't pass variables there, if these are simply numbers, it is going to be wrong. So let us once again see whether they give any error or not here when we pass just numbers. So let me put like this here. X is how much? Some 20 I put here, and this is going to be 10. I put 10. Now in the place of S, I keep some 4. Okay, here I keep some 7. Okay, here I am going to put some, say, 8. Here I give some 2. So these are going to be giving error for us. Reason, these should be valid in variables. So 4 is not a variable, it's constant. So therefore like this, it does not work. So before you call this method, you should declare the variables. So those variables must be assigned some value. Okay, whenever you call this method, all these variables will be affected in the code here. So in the code they are going to be getting affected. That means whatever variables we declared, they are going to be changed with the help of the out parameter. So out parameter, with the help of that, you can return more than one value to the calling program. So we are sending more than one value from this method to calling program, more than one value. Because how many we passed here? Total 5 parameters we have. Sum is a parameter, difference is a parameter, product is a parameter, quotient is a parameter, remainder is a parameter. So for all these, we are actually setting values. Using here, the method is perform AO. So using perform AO, we are changing all these values. So this way, it is going to work here. Therefore, before you call the perform AO method, you must see that in the code, whatever out parameters are there, they are initialized. Similarly, before you pass any parameter here, it should be the parameter whatever you are passing must be as a variable. Much before you call the method, you need to declare. So without declaring them, if you try to pass, definitely it's going to be error. So it does not accept that. Reason, this method is going to be changing the variables, whatever you declare here, they'll be changed in the code. So because of that, there should be an existing variable. otherwise they cannot work. So this is what exactly creating a method with out parameters. This is with the out parameters we created. Now let us look into one other type of method. That method is here using the default value. It has to use some default value. Now here let me write static followed by here this is double I put, then here it is root. I declare something like root, and this is here int num. Then other one is here I write like this int num, then followed by here this one is also int. I can put some index. I can put as index this equal to here 2 I put. By default this is going to be here 2. That means what? Square root. It's going to be performing here square root. Now when it comes to this point here, I can now go with this. Here I write return math dot POW. We have POW here. We need to pass x and y in this. We pass num and y is going to be here. We need to pass a double value. 1.0 here divided by, let us put some index. We are going to put this as index. With this it's going to be returning for us required root. So here index is using a default value. Now suppose you are calling this method. You are just passing number but you don't pass actually this index. That means what? It's going to be square root. Root meaning by default it's going to be square root. So therefore when you don't pass this, it's going to give you square root. Otherwise whatever you pass with that it can give you. Now let me show you that here. Console dot write line. The square root of, say here 25, the square root of 25 is, here I said this way 0, then followed by here I just call it root, then here I can specify 25 just. Okay, it should give us here it should give us 5 as a square root. Similarly, one more I take here in this, the cubic root. Instead of saying square root, this time I write as cubic root. So in this example I am not passing the second argument, but here now I would like to pass an argument. Like this I take. Similarly here also we try to put like fourth root. The fourth root this is going to be here now 4. Like this we try to find out. When you want to find out the square root, by default it takes 2 because we have initialized with the default value int index equal to 2, therefore it is going to be treated as a square root. Now when we run here we need to get 5, and in the other case how much we have to get when this is 4 4s are 3 3s are 9 3s are 27, 2 point something we should get. Let us run that, what results we get. It's giving us the cubic root is going to be 25 2.92, fourth root is going to be here 2.236 something, but if you take the 25 its square root is going to be 5. Like this is working here. This is called as a method we are declaring with a default value for the argument. For the argument we are passing here a default value. So this is here, we are finding out here any root in this. It can be a square root, or it can be cubic root, or it can be quadratic root, or it can be fifth root or sixth root, whatever it is you can find out with the help of this. And this is exactly what having a parameter which is taking some default value. That means when you don't pass this argument, automatically index equal to 2 is taken. As in this example it's happening. When we take root of 25 here, you did not pass a second argument, but still it is giving their square root. But in the second case, we passed 3, therefore giving us cubic root. When we pass 4, it's giving actually fourth root. So like this, either it is square root or cubic root or fourth root you get from this. Like this, we have here the default, like this you can assign a default value for the parameter. One of the parameters is taking here default value. But whatever argument is having the default value, it must be the last argument in the list of the arguments. First argument is num, this is the last argument, so therefore you can assign here. So for the first argument you can't put any default value. So only for the last arguments you can use the default values. Okay, this is what exactly defining a method with a default value. Now let us look into one more type of method creation. So that is going to be accepting variable number of arguments. Often we require this. Suppose you want to find out a sum. In the case of sum, it can be sometimes some 12, 45, 34. So sometimes it may be you may have only two arguments, 12, 45 you may have. Or sometimes it may be more numbers. It is sum, then followed by 12, then 67, 45, 78. The list may become something like this. So what is happening from the first method to second method to third method, number of arguments are changing there. So normally what happens, you need to write separate methods for separate number of arguments, but that is really not a good choice. So in such cases, you need to have a generic way of writing a method. That method must be accepting variable number of arguments, either 3 or 2 arguments or n number of arguments it should support. So for that purpose we use here a mechanism called as parametric array. You can create a method, to that you can pass actually a param array, with that you can pass variable number of arguments. Now here write this way, static, here it is integer I put, then I write this as sum here, followed by here I write param params I write, then followed by in this int nums, like this I can put. Okay, this is for, I'm making this for right here, int s equal to 0. Now from the array one by one I retrieve data, then I increment s, at the end I can return it. For each, put like this, int n in nums. Using for each loop one by one I can pick here s equal to s plus n. At the end I can return it, return followed by here s. Like this I created an array which contains here variable number of arguments. Here it can be having any number of arguments. It can be 3 arguments, 4 arguments, 5 arguments, 2 arguments. How many we want to pass, we can pass there. So normally like this, when you declare a method, number of arguments are fixed. But with the help of this you can pass actually number of arguments. You can be passing here number of arguments. And again param array, if you have more than one variable, one argument you are passing, so in such cases this param array must be the last one. In the argument list it must be the last one. Now here let us invoke this sum and see the result. Let me write like this, console dot write line, the sum of say 8, then 4, 5 is, we put 0, followed by here we invoke that sum method. We use here sum, then here inside this we can put 8, 4, 5 we can set here. It's going to print the sum as here 17 for us. In the same way we can make something different now. So the sum of 8, 4, 5, then 10, then this is 6, how much this is. 8, 4, 5, 10, comma 6 we put here. This time we pass actually 5 arguments. Now when we run this, what result we get? See in this. The first one says 8, 4, 5, 17, 8, 4, 5, 10, comma 6 is 33 here. So that is 12 plus 5, 17 plus 10, 27 plus 6, 33, we are getting it. So therefore this is called as param array, parametric array. With the help of that, we actually pass variable number of arguments. You can pass more than one argument to the method using actually param array. This is parametric array we created. It's nothing but a parametric array like this here we created. So these are 5 different ways of creating methods. And further here all the methods are static methods. Static methods, they belong to class, they don't belong to the object. So whatever methods you don't write without using static keyword, they belong to the object. So the methods can be instance methods or class methods. Class methods, they can work along with the class name. Since I am using the same class, okay, here the class name is not required. And one more thing, you see here you have static methods. These static methods you can invoke only within the other static methods. You can invoke only the other static methods here. Okay, suppose if you have any instance method you can't invoke here. So these methods are exactly static methods. You can invoke them within another static method here. So static methods, they belong to class, they don't belong to object. Okay, so instance method, they belong to object. Methods can be static or they can be instance. So instance methods, they belong to object, whereas static methods, they belong to class. You can declare methods in 2 different ways. One is at the class level, other one is at the object level. So whenever you have any state for the object and whenever you want to manipulate that object data, in such cases you require instance methods. But if you want to create some helper methods at the class level, you can declare. So without instantiating class, you can use them. Those methods can be used. Therefore methods can be static methods or they can be instance methods. So here we declared all methods as static methods because we are using them within the static main method. Okay, so these are nothing but here static methods. I have shown you how to write methods. First one is what? We are passing, in the first case we are passing values as arguments. For arguments we are passing values. In the second case we are passing actually the references. That means addresses of the variables we are passing. In the third case we are passing addresses of the variables using out keyword. So they are called as output parameters or out parameters. And in the fourth case I created a method. One of the arguments in the method can have default values. So I created here root. Root is nothing but a method. It has 2 arguments. First argument is what? Number. Second argument is going to be the index to which you are going to raise the given number. Okay, so with the given index you divide the one, whatever value we get, with that value we are going to be raising the given number. So that is exactly second argument. Further we are assigning their default value to. That means whenever you call that method by passing just the first parameter, automatically it's going to find for us square root. And third one here, fourth one, we have written parametric array. So in which we pass actually param array. It is here using params keyword, we pass here integer array. So what happens here? This can accept here variable number of arguments. It is nothing but here parameters. It is parametric array we say. So this may be like number of the size of the integer may change, the size of array may change. Sometimes only 2 variable, 2 data, 2 elements, sometimes 3 elements, sometimes 5 elements you can pass. So with this method you can pass variable number of arguments. In the sometimes in the scanf you can see, in the case of console.writeLine also, you can pass number of arguments. So in the same manner, with the help of the param array, you can pass variable number of arguments to the method. So this sum method, now if you look at this example, in the first case I passed 3 arguments, in the next case I passed actually 5 arguments. So this way number of arguments they are changing. And one more concept what we saw, that is actually overloading. Here we have used interchange methods and here also interchange method, but arguments types are changing. Here int a, int b, and here also integer a and b, but here they are references, whereas here they are just values. So this way here we have overloaded. The two methods have been overloaded. The method names are what? Interchange. Both of them are interchange. In the first case, it is only values. In the second case, they are references. So like this here, these are created. Interchange methods are created. In the first case, they are just actually the values. In the next case, these are references. So in this way, we have created here the methods. Two methods we created with the same name. This is overloading. So we have seen here how to define methods in the C#, how to define methods in different ways, and all these methods are here static methods. Okay, just like normal, say parameter, normal primitive type of data, you can pass even object data to methods. They can be returning even object data. They can return even object data also. So that you can do with the help of methods. Normally, like how you do with the primitive data, in the same way you can deal with the object data also in the case of methods. To the methods you can pass objects as arguments, and the method can be returning even objects also. So that we see in next sessions when we do with the object oriented programming. But this is about actually the methods creation. In different ways we created here methods.